from a, I wouldn't say from a very young age, but at a certain point in my life, I started really questioning like, what is going on this planet? Like, why am I not fundamentally just like happy? You know, where is this sadness coming from that's within me, this depression that I feel, and many different expressions I would have of that throughout my life. And I started on that search that I think a lot of people are on that search for what's something that can make them happy. But it wasn't until I realized, and I didn't figure this out for myself, someone explained this to me, but then I had to realize it for myself, is that the reason why I'm not happy is not because there's something wrong with me per se. It's because the world that we live in is not designed so that everyone can be happy. We don't have a world that's set up for us to just be able to give of ourselves freely to each other. Because if we did, then what we would get from, I mean, imagine if every person on the planet was always giving in a way that made sure you have what is best. Now that might seem impossible because you're thinking maybe the calculations you'd have to have in your head to figure out the exact, consequence of everything you do would be impossible. But if everyone had the same starting point, you understand, systems could be put in place. Like, for example, I'm assuming everyone on this call, when you wake up in the morning, now we might all have different amounts of money in our bank account currently, but generally speaking, I'm assuming if you're on this call, you're not waking up in the morning going, oh shit, I don't know where food's gonna come from today. I need to go like just survive. Otherwise I'm literally gonna die and my family's gonna die. I don't think anyone here is probably in that position, but there are many people in this world who are in that position, and their programming is such that that's all they can focus on is just where they're going to get that next thing. So they don't have the opportunity to question anything. And it's not because they're inferior to any of us. It's just that's the environment that they're in. That's the programming they received. And the environmental conditions are constantly kind of putting survival pressure on them so that they don't have the time and space to really start looking at things differently. Most of us didn't either. And it's only till kind of very recently, and it has a lot to do with many different things, but one thing is the compression of time through the internet, because we can have this conversation now. We can discuss these principles now. And I want you to imagine for a moment, whatever your religious belief or background is, just imagine Jesus for a moment, okay? Let's just pretend for a moment that he was somebody who lived on this planet and had some really cool ideas about how as human beings we could live together, and that if everyone applied those principles, we could have a world that was really amazing. But I want you to imagine the education level and the ability to understand those concepts of the average person living at that time. They were not able to process that kind of message. Or you could think of Buddha, or you could think of Lao Tzu, or you could think of any person that's come that has had basically the same message, but the people could not process it. And so one lesson there is we have to stop looking for a person, a leader to fix everything for us. But the other lesson is we don't have to just then say, well, if there's no leader, then it's not possible, because we can become self-leaders. And if we have the same set of principles, guess what? We don't need a leader. We don't need someone to tell us what to do, because if in any given situation, I look at what are the possible things I could do and what are the possible consequences of everything I do. And I was able to really sit down and clearly look at, okay, if my starting point is to do what is best, I'm thinking about doing this choice versus this choice. This choice feels good. This choice is really the choice based on some need or desire or want or lack that I have in myself emotionally because of my childhood or some experience or whatever, versus this is the choice I don't really want to do. But if I just look at it practically, it really is the best choice for everybody. So I should do that. That's not easy to do until you've developed a point of self-trust where you just do it more and more and more and more. And so the tools that are being shared in this group, and there's many different tools, the purpose of those is to, like Drake said, give us the ability to bring us back here to reality so we can say, okay, I'm actually here in reality. I'm not in some fantasy or delusion in my mind, but I'm actually here physically, and I have the education level to understand the consequences of my actions, what I accept, what I allow, what I do, what I get permission for, all of those things, and how that affects myself and everybody else. Now, all of us, I'm assuming again, We wake up and we know exactly where food and breakfast or a meal is going to come from. That's because we have systems that take care of that for us. Like when you go to the grocery store, think of all the work and effort that goes into getting the food onto the shelf for you to purchase. And then obviously you have to go to work and do a lot to get the money to buy that food. But to a large degree, you don't have to worry about whether there's going to be food there. And obviously with this whole pandemic thing that's been going on, even those of us in the first world have been like, whoa, we're susceptible to some of these things too. So we got a little bit of a wake-up call there. But there's many people who don't have that certainty. And if you think about it, like, if you look at a human body, if your heart is having a lot of trouble, or your kidney, or your liver, or your stomach is having severe problems, what's going to happen to the rest of your body? Isn't it eventually just going to it's going to affect every cell in your body, because every cell is depending on that particular point to do something. So if one part of our reality, or one group of people, or a large group of our people in reality are hurting, or really any part, it's actually hurting all of us. And the only ways that we have to ignore that is two things. One, we have media and entertainment. So we don't have to focus on those things. We don't have to focus on the actual negativity or the suffering or things that are going on in reality, because we're removed from it because we have money and we can entertain ourselves. But then we also have something else, which is, I guess you could call it, for lack of a better word, personal drama. Like we have dramas that we participate in within ourselves that is really just like this desire to feel good, or to get some kind of energy, or to compensate for something we feel like we're missing or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's not us giving, it's us trying to take. So just for example, one of the things that Mitch asked me to talk about is kind of what does family look like from the context of self-perfection? Now, I'm not sitting here claiming that I'm the end all be all, I'm done walking this process, I'm perfect from that perspective. I'm not claiming that. I have things that come up on a regular basis. But the one thing I know that I do have, well, two things really. One, I trust myself. I trust myself that whatever comes up, I'm gonna be honest with myself, and I'm gonna choose the point that's best, even if it's hard. And two, I have the tools to be able to restabilize myself, even if I get a little bit wonky or off course for a moment. And my wife has that, and my kids have that. I don't know if any of you have seen the video I posted. Some of you are probably not even friends with me or even knew me before this call. But I have a 1.5-year-old daughter named Seneca. And I posted a video where she was crying, and I wouldn't normally get my phone out if she was crying. But I wanted to have an example to show other people. But she was crying, and I just told her to breathe, and I was breathing. And then after a moment, she just started breathing. That's how we approach our kids. We don't say, stop crying. Why are you crying? Oh, quit whining, quit trying. Like, I don't believe that my kids are trying to manipulate me. But I also know that they're going to learn patterns of manipulation in this world. So I'm not judging them, I'm understanding, right? So we just have a different starting point within how we work with our children. And my wife and I, for example, Katie, for those of you who know her, she's really amazing just as a human being, because she really cares. She wants to do what's best as well. And she's walking her own process. But because we have the same starting point, whenever a conflict arises, we have those principles to come back to, and then to bring it all back to reality. So our kids don't suffer because of our programming that we receive, for example. And another thing I would like to just say to everybody is, there are people in this world, I'm not saying this would apply necessarily to anyone in this call, obviously, but there are people in this world who believe that the way to change this world is to just feel good and to be positive. And I'm not saying that feeling good is bad, or that we shouldn't feel good. In fact, I want to feel great, and I hope all of you do too. But it is possible, and I'm sure if any of you are honest with yourselves, you know what I'm saying is true. It is possible to make yourself feel good, even though it's not good for you. It's not actually best for you or other people. And that is by and large what our world has become, is systems built on systems that are designed to try to get something for all of us as like sort of an artificial kind of high. But that's not like a real substantive thing, where it's like we're all just literally just here breathing and just like enjoying each other and really trusting each other. How can we trust each other when we have a system that literally says, okay, if there was only 2 jobs left on the planet and you didn't have a job, well, if this guy if there's only 1 job left, but there's 2 people without jobs, and if this guy gets the job, you don't get it, so you don't eat, therefore your kids starve. I mean, wouldn't your self-honesty be, well, I would want to get that job and let the other guy starve so my kids can get fed? And I mean, that sucks for them, And anyone who would say, oh no, I wouldn't do that, I'm a great person. Well, you're allowing that right now. There's lots of people right now starving right now. The challenge though is that, and I want to be clear about how I say this, but when we see these massive problems, but we don't have individually at the moment the ability, or like, let's say the education or the resources to do something about it, then it's like you kind of have this cognitive dissonance. It's like this sort of, I don't know what to do about it. It's not even a conscious process, but it's like an automatic, well, there's a reason for that. It's something outside of me. And this is why it's so easy for people to turn to religion or whatever belief system. And not that those things are bad in themselves, but when it's done for the purpose of not taking responsibility for what you are directly allowing and creating and participating in, that's when it becomes abusive. There's nothing wrong with, like I said, feeling good. There's nothing wrong with, having a time where you go somewhere and you appreciate the world around you or creation or whatever it is. But when we're using those things to kind of absolve ourselves temporarily of having to actually go and look at what is the consequences of what we're either doing directly or allowing to be done while we participate in the systems and benefit from them. And that, like I said, that's when it becomes abusive. So it's difficult to accept, I think, that we're all abusers. And I'm not here saying, oh, I'm perfect. I've figured it out and I'm enlightened and I don't do any harm and like, I don't even harm a fly or anything. No, I use money. Because of the currency exchanges in the money system, some people go without. If a currency situation goes this way, this country, because they have a lower value currency, they get their resources taken and exploited at a much higher rate. And then they don't get to benefit from that because all of that goes out of the country. I'm just giving you an example, right? So we can't sit here and pretend like, well, I'm not physically doing it. It's like, but you're benefiting from the thing that's causing this problem out here. So it's easy also to go into sort of a doom and gloom about it. Like, wow, that's really negative. But if you just look at it for yourself, if you had that thought at all, that's the point I'm trying to get at, which is see how, and even if you didn't experience it, you could see that maybe someone else could experience that point of like, wow, why are you being so negative? Like, just, we should just be positive. And see, that's that point. It's like, I'd rather just feel good and not face it and not deal with it. And if there was no solution, there was no way to change anything, then yeah, what's the freaking point of being negative? Might as well just be happy. And I think that's why people take that attitude on sometimes, because it's like, well, I can't do anything about it. The best thing I can do is be positive and be nice to everybody around me. And at least that'll contribute in a positive way. But for those of you who can hear what I'm saying and are like, you know what Cameron's saying, it resonates. Like, I'm not sure exactly how I could practically make a difference in this world, like in that bigger picture, but I would like to if I could. I really want to know how to do that. And let me share with you what I've realized for myself. I'm a very creative person, and again, I don't mean that in a like I'm better at creativity than someone else. I enjoy being creative. I enjoy creating things, right? The thing that I've realized, and has anyone listened to Your Wish Is Your Command? I'm sure many of you have. In there, you'll probably remember Kevin Trudeau says that you want to have a dream that takes you lifetimes to achieve, right? Because that's where you'll experience the most bliss. Think about it. When you're creative, when you're in creation mode, because that's who we really are, that's what we're really capable of. That's when we feel the most alive, not when we're just getting energy. And a perfect example of that is, have you ever just watched a lot of TV and it was like a show you really liked and it was like really fun to watch, but then afterwards you feel drained, right? That's when we abusing energy rather than using it to create something. So when we're in real creative mode, like we're actually giving of ourselves, we're creating something that benefits us and everybody else, that's when we feel amazing. And so what I've realized for myself is, if we can work together and we can create a world that's best for everybody, which there's no one else on this planet except the few people on this call, maybe a few others who are just not here right now, that even think that's a possibility. But if we can do that, what more creative task could you set for your life than that? There isn't one. And my perspective is, if your desire is to experience bliss and creation and all of that kind of stuff in your life at the highest level possible, this would be the highest goal you could possibly set for yourself. Now, I also want to say this too. Anybody who's like, look, I am really good at this one particular thing and like being a mother, let's say, and I'm with my kids and I teach them and I educate them and then they become great human beings with principles. That's equally as important as going and becoming the president of the United States and helping get passed laws that make sure no child goes to bed without food. It's not like if you don't go into politics, you're just a jerk and you're a loser. No, that's why this is about self-perfection. It's not, this isn't the everybody go into politics group. This is the perfect yourself. So if I look at for myself, what are my skill sets and what do I see as my potential and ability to communicate and so forth, I can see that's a place I could potentially get to. And I'm going to push myself because I don't know what my limits are in that. But that doesn't mean it's right for you or for somebody else. So it's up to you to decide like, hey, this is what I want to do. Somebody else might be like, hey, I want to be an engineer and like figure out solutions for agriculture that actually work for everybody and, you know, are based on where the, you know, what's actually available in that part of the country and how that can be distributed. I'm just giving you an example. Or like energy and things like that. And a lot of really cool technology and systems already exist, but the people who are promoting them and using them don't have the principles we're sharing. So maybe it's just connecting with those people and sharing those principles and being like an advocate for the idea of having a world that's best for all. I'm not here to tell you what your role is within it. All I am here to really say is, look, that's what I'm doing. And I'm not going to stop until that world is created, even if it's not until my child, you know, is my children are adults. And so how do I do that for myself? Obviously within the context of what we're sharing, building a business that supports people with these tools. That's one thing I do. And then also looking at going into politics and figuring out how I can apply my skill sets there, but also applying it in my relationships. And if you're a distributor and techno tutor, you can talk to any of them. They'll tell you, they can call me for 4 hours on the phone during the day. And I just dedicate my time to them, meaning because I'm there to support them to grow. But I apply that same principle within my family. And so if there's a conflict, it's like, I'm there, we have to solve it, we have to figure it out. And sometimes that might mean you have a little space, but it's not like, oh, you just let something go. No, like if you let any little point of doubt or uncertainty go unchecked, it will grow. And so with our children, it's like, if my son is upset about something, I don't just go like, oh, get over it. It's like, no, communicate to me. It's okay, tell me. Like, maybe I didn't understand, like explain more, I wanna know. So then we develop this ability to communicate with each other in our family that I think when many people see it from the outside, they're like, what the hell? Like, I didn't even know that was possible. But I don't want to keep that to myself. There's no point to that, because how is that going to help me? You know, like it doesn't help me or you when we go outside and they're like people who are like wearing masks and like don't even want to get near you and stuff like that. That's not the world I want my children to grow up in. I want them to grow up into a world where they can trust their neighbor, not fear their neighbor. But one of the big major barriers to that exists right now is that we have a system that's based on for some to have a lot, many have to have very little. And so that system existing and perpetuating itself is what's just creating this underlying unconscious, subconscious mistrust of each other. And you don't have to feel like you're a bad person because you don't trust other people. That's the system. Like there's unconscious points that you can't change on your own in yourself until the system changes, which is actually pretty cool because that means it's, you know, all for one and one for all. That's really what this is about. It's not about me or Mitch or whoever being the best person that ever lived. It's about us supporting everybody else to rise up all together. So what I'm looking at doing with my life is helping the creation of the new 1%. But that new 1% becomes 100%. And that's the fundamental difference. And that's the perspective that I was first given and then took many, many years of going through all of my personal demons and failures and self-judgments and fears and resistances and desires and everything to the point where I'm at now, which is still doing the exact same thing, just taking on more responsibility. So if I can really just share one last point, it's just if you're resonating with what I'm saying, I just want you to know that there are people like myself and others who are like, hey, it's time that we as humanity really stand up and we stop fucking around. Like there's real suffering that's happening and we don't know what happens when we die. We might have ideas about it. We might think we know because we heard this or we saw that. But the reality is all I know that exists is what's here right now, and that's where I'm at. So this is what my responsibility is. So I can't give everything I know in one moment or in one little talk and everything, but I did want to share a little bit of that. And I really appreciate Mitch for you giving me some time to share kind of where I'm coming from and everything. So I hope that was valuable to everybody as well.